I'm Amanda, the ever hopeful gardener, and today we're going to start some fall seeds. Are we doing the bag slap? Is that still a thing? I have 2 cement mixing tubs I got at the local blue or orange store. They're like $8 each. They're fantastic when you're working with potting soil. I'm using my favorite potting mix that I'm going to sift for seed starting. I don't buy specific seed starting mixes. I have found this is what works best for me, and so I can use a DIY sifter I made, sift it, and be good to go. You can make a sifter any size you want. I made mine so it would fit perfectly over these cement mixing tubs. The reason I am sifting this mix is because it's a potting mix, so it does have some large pieces of perlite and some large wood fines that is not conducive for seed starting. So I'm going to get those out of here. This is what's left over, so I'm going to go add it to one of my pots outside because it's still good stuff. Today I'm going to be making soil blocks to start my fall seeds, and I don't do any complicated recipe. I could just use this bag mix that I've sifted, add water, and be good to go. But because a long time ago when I did buy into creating a special soil blocking recipe, I purchased an expensive container of green sand. So I'm going to use it because I have it, just to get rid of it. But it's not needed. And just so you know, all right, this is not a sponsored plug. I am in no way affiliated with this company, but this is my absolute favorite mix to start seeds and to soil block. This is Fox Farms Bush Doctor Coco Loco. It is peat free. It is available at specialty stores. I was able to find it in my city by using their where to find on their website, and there were 2 places in my town that sold it, and it's worth making the drive to that store to purchase it. Absolute favorite. It has never failed me. And believe me, I've tried a lot of potting and seed starting mixes. If you are adding anything to your soil for a soil block recipe, add it before you add the water. Green sand is from the ocean. It contains minerals. It also can help as a binding agent when you're making soil blocks. We're just going to use it all. I'm going to mix it in. Then we're going to add water. We're going to let this mix soak. Let the cocoa core that's in it, that's triple washed, soak up the water before we start making the soil blocks. Looks like it's mixed in. Now we're going to add water. When you are adding water for a soil block recipe, you are aiming for the consistency of mashed potatoes. Common issue when you're soil blocking, if you're having difficulty, is that your mix is not wet enough. You do want to be able to wring water out of it. All right, we're going to let that sit 10-15 minutes. Then we're going to block. Our mix has been sitting, absorbing water for 10 to 15 minutes now, and I'm ready to start blocking my fall seeds. I'm going to be using these 10-20, that refers to 10 inches by 20 inch tray. And these have small holes in them for drainage. And what I like about this is I can stack this tray with holes into this tray without. Then when I'm watering my soil blocks, if I've added too much water, I can lift this tray out and get rid of the extra water. I like using shallow trays for my soil blocks because it's just easier to get them out afterwards. If I'm using a standard 1020 tray, the soil blocks sit way down and it's hard to get them out when it's time to plant them. I used to use the Ladbroke original soil blocker, conventional soil blocker. It hurt my wrists and my joints, my thumb in particular. I've got arthritis and carpal tunnel. I have completely switched to using the Swiftblocker soil blockers. There are a lot of different ones you can get. There are ones for flower farmers who are doing things on a large scale. There are ones for home gardeners who are doing things on a smaller scale. This is the Nano 25. It gives you 25 small soil blocks. Nano 9 gives you 9 soil blocks. You see where we're going here? Nano 4 soil blocks. I'm actually not going to be using this one today. This one I like for my spring and summer squash and pumpkins, anything that has a larger size seed or is going to be in a soil block much longer before I transplant it. I also have one of the OG Swiftblockers. This is the Mini 27. Can you guess how many soil blocks it makes? Today I'm starting fall seeds. I'm starting things like kale, broccoli, cauliflower, arugula, lettuce, Romanesco, collards, mustards, and I'm going to be mostly using the Nano 25, the Nano 9, and the Mini 27. When you're soil blocking with a Swiftblocker, you're going to fill the Swiftblocker with soil. You're going to make sure that you're applying even pressure to all the different blocks. You don't want some blocks packed in tighter than others. And you're going to pay attention to the corners. Sometimes those blocks get overlooked and not filled completely. And then when you press them out, you have some disappointing corner blocks. I like to fill the blocker with my hand. As gardeners, we should be used to getting dirty and having our hands in the soil. And I'm going to just keep gently but firmly scraping the soil over the top to make sure that all the blocks are getting filled. Swiftblocker also sells the Swift Scraper, which you don't need, but is nice. You can use other things like spatulas or I don't know what those metal things are called that people use with dough, scrape it on the counter. That works really well also. So I start using the Swift Scraper after I've already packed it in. This is just to smooth out the tops to make sure everything is packed down. If you pack your blocks too dense, too tight, your seeds will have a hard time germinating and your roots will have a hard time growing. So it's something to play around with. I'm going to take the extra off. Okay. Another fantastic thing about Swiftblocker soil blockers is that you can seed the blocks before you press them out, which is really nice. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to do some arugula. I can put the seeds on the scraper and then scoot them out. Now, at this point, you could sprinkle a light dusting of dry soil mix on top. I like to use fine grade vermiculite, and I typically have to order this online, and I think it's actually meant for frogs in terrariums. The gardening vermiculite you typically find at garden centers is not always the fine grade. It can be kind of quite chunky. Now, at this point, I'm going to move my blocker from the table. I'm going to release the suction. And then, unlike conventional soil blockers, I am not going to press down, push the blocks down. I'm actually going to lift the bottom portion of the blocker up to meet the top. There you go. 27 soil blocks of arugula done just like that. The last step is to label it and put a humidity dome on. I just use painter's tape on the side of the 1020. I find this helps because it's not a label that can get lost or moved. Humidity dome. Now this is not going to go outside just yet. There are too many variables outside. I am going to keep these inside my house where we keep the thermostat set at 76 in the summer. Once they germinate, I'm going to put them in a special protected spot outside. They don't need to be under grow lights. They are good to be under the outdoor sun, but there are some things you have to keep in mind. Let's do the Nano 9 for some Swiss chard. The Nanos have built-in dibbles, and I can gently press the top of the blocker to create some depressions in the blocks to make it easy to sow my seeds. This is Bright Lights Swiss chard. Because these are a little bit larger of a seed, I'm going to take some dry potting mix and just sprinkle it on top. Then I'm going to put my vermiculite on. Vermiculite is great to add to the tops of your soil blocks because it helps retain moisture. And while you're trying to get your seeds to germinate, it's important to maintain a consistent amount of moisture in your blocks. It can be tricky learning how to water soil blocks when you're first starting out, so this is a really big help. It's also nice to be able to add the vermiculite before the blocks are pressed out, because that means the vermiculite will not get into the channels in between the blocks, making watering more difficult. I've got my shallow 1020 with holes. I have my 1020 with no holes. I'm going to release the suction. Now we're going to do a bunch of soil blocks on this tray. They are, however, going to all be the same type of plant. So this will be just several different varieties of Swiss chard. When you're doing your soil blocks on a tray, you want to make sure that they're all going to germinate around the same time. That way the humidity dome is coming off at the appropriate time for all of the plants. Again, we're going to lift up instead of push down. And we need to label. I'm going to use the Nano 25 because I'm going to start a bunch of lettuce, and it'll get transplanted outside relatively quickly. It'll be okay for it to be in a smaller size block. And dibbles to make small depressions in the blocks. Another awesome thing about the Nanos is you can soil block them into almost any container you want. I am going to use a repurposed food container. I'm going to use actually the lid as the base. The blocks are going to press out onto this, and then I'll use the actual container as the humidity dome. Let's talk about what we do next. We have sowed our seeds in our soil blocks. We have put them in a humidity dome. What now? Until the seeds germinate, it's important to keep the tops of the block from drying out. And to do that, you're going to use a spray water bottle and simply do this once a day. Once they have germinated, or if you can see that the blocks appear to be drying out, you want to water using a gooseneck watering can. This allows the water to be more of a controlled, slow flow. If you water your blocks with something that does not control the water into a slower flow, the bottoms of the blocks will get eroded. We're not going to water the tops of the blocks. We are going to water the tray and let the blocks soak up the water. So you just do a nice steady stream of water into the tray, and you'll get a feel for how much to water your blocks. But if you water them too much, so say in an hour you come back and the blocks have not soaked up all the water, if you're using a tray with holes like I am, you can lift the blocks out of the bottom tray and just pour off. What can I pour into? Just pour off the excess water. Honestly, the hardest parts about soil blocking are finding the right mix for you and getting rid of all those complicated recipes and the watering. But I promise, once you figure those two things out, it couldn't be easier or faster or more enjoyable. And some of the advantages of soil blocking are, one, you don't have to buy a bunch of pots. Two, you're not having to wash those pots after seed starting. Soil blocks actually do something called air pruning of the roots, which means as your seedlings are growing, their roots are growing out towards the edges of the blocks. When they meet the edge of the block and they meet air, they stop growing out and the plant starts putting out more roots, and the roots that it already has start branching. It forms a really great root system, very healthy. And when you go to transplant and you're transplanting your blocks, there's a lot less transplant shock than trying to turn a pot upside down and get that seedling out to transplant it. So just a lot of advantages to soil blocking. I highly recommend it. It's my favorite way to start seeds. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I've also linked everything I've used today, including my favorite seed source, my favorite potting mix, everything in the caption.